Page 557 in the text contains a description of a product structure for a product that has several items as components. Some of the information from the chapter is collected in this table. One thing that's been done in this table is to list the different items in the order they appear in the product structure by level. This means that although D comes after C in the alphabet, it's actually listed as a level 3 item. The table shows the parents and the requirements per unit of the parent. The lead time and on-hand inventory are shown. The goal is that given we have a requirement of 50 units of item A, which is the finished good, in week 8, we want to create a net requirement schedule for each of the other items. We'll do so in this Excel template. We want to create these schedules on a level-by-level basis. A is the first item, and it has a lead time of 1 week. There are currently 10 units of A on hand. In this template, we'll enter formulas for the projected on-hand inventory and the net requirements. These formulas can be copied to the schedules for the other items, and this will avoid errors and make things quicker if we're constructing our schedules. We'll go ahead and enter the gross requirement of 50 in week 8 for item A. We can create net requirements plan for items that have gross requirements in multiple weeks, and many problems will do so. The projected on-hand inventory for a given week is the previous on-hand inventory minus the previous gross requirement plus the prior order receipt. This works very much like a periodic inventory formula from accounting. This formula can be copied to the remaining weeks of the net requirement schedule. While there are some negative numbers in the later weeks, this is simply because we haven't yet filled in the planned order receipts. Beginning in week 1, the net requirements are the maximum of 0, or the gross requirements, minus the projected on-hand inventory. The 0 will ensure that this result of the formula is not negative. If we were to have gross requirements that were less than the projected on-hand inventory, it would not be necessary to order any more inventory in that week. This formula can also be copied to the remaining weeks. At this point, it's clear that we need to schedule a planned order receipt for item A in week 8. We enter 40, and notice that the projected on-hand inventory updates for the remaining weeks in the schedule. Because A has a lead time of 1 week, we'll schedule the order release 1 week prior to the planned order receipt. Now we move to the level 1 items. Item B has a lead time of 2 weeks. Its parent is A, and for each unit of A, 2 units of item B are required. 15 units are on hand. 2 units of B are required for each unit of A, so the gross requirements are going to be 2 times the planned order releases for the parent item. So it's the planned order releases for the parents that drive the gross requirements. simply entering this formula starting with week 1, and we'll copy it to all the other weeks to make this a flexible schedule. We'll copy this formula to the other weeks, and when we do, we see that now there's a gross requirement in week 7 for item B of 80 units. We can copy and paste the projected on-hand and net requirements formulas for each week as well, because they contain no absolute references. We can simply copy the formulas we entered from item A to item B. We now see that the first week with a positive net requirement is week 7 for item B. We need to schedule an order release with a lot for lot assumption of 65 in week 7. Item B has a lead time of 2 weeks, so the order release would occur 2 weeks before the order receipt. Item C is a level 1 item as well. Its lead time is 1 week. Its parent is A. And for each unit of A, it takes 3 units of item C. We have to go 2 schedules up in the material requirements plan to find the gross requirements for C. They're going to be equal to 3 times the planned order releases for A. We have to be careful to reference directly the parent of C. The on-hand inventory for C is 20 units. We copy the projected on-hand formulas and net requirements formulas from the prior schedule because they contain no absolute references. We see that the first week with a positive net requirement for item C is week 7, and we schedule a planned order receipt if we make a lot for lot assumption. The lead time is 1 week, so the order release will occur 1 week before the order receipt. We're ready to move to the level 2 items. This is where we need to be careful to use the first level 2 item as opposed to just item D because it's next to the alphabet. The lead time for item E is 2, and it has 2 parents, B and C. For both B and C, it requires 2 units of item E for every unit of the parent. Gross requirements for E will be driven by the order releases of both of the parents. 2 times the order releases for B plus 2 times the order releases for C. We end up with gross requirements in more than 1 week for item E. There were 10 units on hand. We copy the projected on hand and net requirements formulas. We see that the first week with a positive net requirement is week 5. So we schedule an order receipt. The order release will occur 2 weeks prior. This still leaves us with a net requirement of 200 in week 6 for item E, so we schedule a second order receipt and an order release 2 weeks prior. We move on to item F. Item F has a lead time of 3 weeks. The parent of item F is C, and for each unit of C, it requires two units of item C. The gross requirement, then, are 2 units times the planned order release for C. This is where, again, we've got to be very careful to reference the correct parent for F. For F, there are 10 units on hand. We copy in the projected on hand and net requirement formulas. Actually, there are 5 units of F on hand. The first week with a positive net requirement is week 6, and so we schedule an order receipt of 195 and go 1, 2, 3 weeks and schedule the order release. Finally, we've come to level 3 in the schedule. We have item D. Item D has a lead time of 1 week and 2 parents. Its parents are B and F. Each unit of B and F requires 2 units of item D. This will present a bit of a challenge, as we'll just have to be careful to reference the correct parents when determining the gross requirements. For item D, there are 10 units on hand. The gross requirements are 2 times the order releases for B, plus 2 times the order releases for F. We copy the projected on hand and net requirement formulas for each of the weeks. And then we schedule the order receipts. First order receipt will occur in week 3, and with a 1 week lead time, we'll have an order release in week 2. We see we also need an order receipt in week 5, and a corresponding order release in week 4. Now we can move to the last item in the schedule. G is a level 3 item with a lead time of 2 weeks. Its parent is F, and for each F, it requires 1 unit of G. So gross requirements are 1 times the order releases for item F. There's no inventory on hand for G. We copy the projected on hand and net requirement formulas. And schedule the 1 order receipt that we will need for G. The release will occur in week 1. So now for this problem, we have completed net material requirements for each item in the product structure.